Let's talk about Canadian MMA a little bit. Obviously, you are at the forefront of that. You're the face of Canadian mixed martial arts. And I remember when I first started going to Canada, I was blown away by just the enthusiasm of the Canadian fans for mixed martial artists. And back in the day, there was yourself, there was Rory McDonald, Patrick Cote, and there's many, many others that I'm forgetting right now. It seems, though, that it seems to have dipped a little bit. It's diminished a little bit. What is the state? And I see you nodding your head. What's going on with Canadian mixed martial arts? Is it still as popular?
I'm going to tell you the truth about what I feel about it, and you will understand. In Canada, it's a very big country, but there is not a big population compared to other countries like US or France, UK. So people are spread around. If we want to be competitive to the international level, we need to join force and train with each other. Like we used to do back in the day with David Loiseau, I did with Patrick Cote, I did with all the guys, all of them, Rory McDonald. Now everybody is divided into teams, and they kind of competing in between each other. It's fine to compete in between each other because inside competition makes talent grow. However, you need to exchange ideas and exchange training and not be jealous of each other, try to bring each other down. I think if they would unite, they would be better. And that's a problem right now, I believe.
And is that something you've given thought to, perhaps trying to, I don't know. I mean, obviously you have a big love for martial arts and you're a proud Canadian. Have you thought about, I don't know, maybe some kind of training center for that kind of thing, maybe to bring everybody together?
Michael, I tried to help a lot of guys a few years ago. I did help a few of them, but what works for me doesn't necessarily will work for other guys because we're all different. And I feel sometimes that perhaps you might understand what I'm talking about is because we're from a time that we grows as MMA. We come from a time that MMA was on the tip of exploding. You know, when I started, it was no glamour. It was no money. I was doing it because of the passion of it. I had a dream. It was to become champion, not because I thought it would make me a millionaire. Now, people, they see McGregor, they see all the stars. They want to do it for the wrong reason. They want to do it because they want to achieve, they want to have a glamour life. They want to be wealthy. But this come way later in their career if they can have success. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of the people, they do it for the wrong reason. You know, you need to do it for the right reason first. And then if you're successful, the glamour, the money, all that, the fame will come after. But it doesn't come right off the bat.
Yeah, this is what I say all the time.
The new generation now, they all want it right away. And life doesn't work like that.
No, that's right. You know, at the end of your career, that's when it all kind of comes together and you'll make some money and all the rest of it. And I say that all the time, George. A lot of people these days, you know, and it's great that it's so popular, but a lot of people are in it for the wrong reasons. And what you're talking about there, remember back in the day, we trained together. You were coaching the Ultimate Fighter. I was out there doing the Ultimate Fighter finale. We trained together at the old UFC gym. That's when I blew out my knee for the first time, which I had to have a total knee replacement. So I blame that 100% on you, George. But we had some good times.
Oh, God.
Hey, Lewis, listen, I couldn't believe it. I landed in Vegas and then I had no one to train with. I was going to be there for 6 weeks. And then Donna from the UFC says, Georges St-Pierre is going to come and get you. And I'm like, what? Georges St-Pierre? And then sure enough, and I forget what kind of car you were driving, but he pulled up outside the Palace station, picked me up. We went training, you and Sam Stout. So shout out Sam Stout. But thank you for that, George. I really appreciated your help.
Yeah, man, it's an honor. And also, you know, when I first started my career, you know, I was studying, I had other jobs, you know. I was not living with MMA, you know. I was making money, but not enough to live off. Now, a lot of the new generation guys, they want to live off MMA right away, you know. And I feel sad because a lot of them, sometimes they ask me advice and they hope that my advice would be to lead them towards their goal. But I tell them, I say, bro, I said, you should go back to school and keep fighting, competing, but it's not because I made it that I will tell you to follow the same path. I was lucky, you know, the stars were aligned and I made it. I worked really hard, but what if you get hit by a car? What if you break your legs and you cannot never return to the same level you were? You know, what if? And if you invest yourself 100% into this, and you reach about 30 years old now, after you found out that your career doesn't go nowhere, it's too late. There, you have nothing to fall back into. So it's you ruin your life. So what I do tell the young guys that compete, it's stay at school, work, find a job, something, but don't, you know, don't put your eggs in the same basket. You know what I mean? Because even if you're the best now and you have great hopes, maybe something can happen in your life, you know, like get hit by a car or an accident. This thing happen and it can ruin your career. So at least you have an assurance, you know, if something bad happened to you.
Well, I say it all the time, George, you know, I mean, and you'll know this, you've been all over the world, you've trained at many gyms. You go in gyms and you see people that are so talented and you think, wow, this guy could be a world champion one day. And then the guy's living in his car or he's totally broke, you know. And I was going to ask you, but you kind of said it there. What is, I mean, obviously, I mean, and we'll ask you, who do you think is the greatest of all time, barring you? Of course, you're in the discussion for it. And it's just an opinion. It's just an opinion. So outside of you, who do you think is the greatest of all time? But also, what advice would you give to a young up-and-coming fighter like a Luis J. Gomez on the call here? He's training every day. He's doing jiu-jitsu. He's getting injured every day. I tell him he's pushing it too hard. But what would you give to an up-and-coming fighter? What one piece of advice or 5 pieces of advice? But let's stick with one.
I would tell him the same thing I would tell a young George. I think I did too much volume in my career. I trained too hard and I underestimate the importance of recuperation. And because we do train in different disciplines and most of our coaches, depending how you were, but most of your coaches only see one facet, one face of your training. So they want to push you 100%, but they don't know what you have done yesterday, what you have done right before going to that particular training. So everybody train you 100%, but you can't do that. You can't put as much volume as an Olympic wrestler or as an Olympic boxer or in jiu-jitsu. You have to divide your training and be very careful about the volume. And if you choose to do that for a living, you know, please have some assurance in terms of, you know, to fall back into something that you can do after, like school or whatever, a job. And also be aware that it's a very, very hard journey. You know, you will fail many times and it will hurt. And you will reach many points during your life that you will be ready to give up, but you can't give up, you know. And if you give up, it's a test of life. There was many times in my life I wanted to leave everything behind. I was that close many times, but I pushed through it, and I'm lucky I had great people around me that helped me. And be aware, it's not an easy, glamorous beginning like everybody thinks. It takes a lot of time, and it demands an incredible disciplines and a lot of inner strength.
Do you have any regrets in your career? A moment that you wish you would have done differently?
Yeah, it's a lot of things. I believe I did too much volume. I underestimate the importance of recuperation. You know, obviously my 2 losses, a lot of my fight, when I watch it again, I'm like, shit, I should have done this instead of that. And, you know, but you can't change the past. You can only learn from your mistake, and learn. The best way is to learn from other people's mistakes. And yeah, man, but I'm happy. I can't complain about what I have. I'm kind of happy, you know.
Well, you've had a fantastic career, and it seems like your body is still in really good shape. I mean, since I've retired, I've had 2 knee replacements. I go in tomorrow, I'm getting my throat sliced open. They're replacing a disc in my spine. So my body's beat up. You did very, very well. So God bless you. I think the problem too is the guys, they spar like crazy. A lot of the athletes, they leave their career in the gym. And I can't say names, but some of the people, if they listen to this,
they know who I'm talking about. I've given some advice to some of the kids, and some of them listen, some doesn't listen.
I say
Train
it all
hard
the time.
is something, but you need to train smart. It's way more important, you know?
Yeah, no, I say it all the time,
You
George.
do not get tougher by getting hit in the head. You do
Yeah.
not increase your toughness or your capacity of taking a punch. This is a wrong belief.
Yeah, no, I tell people all the time, and then stretching and things and mobility, all that kind of work. When I was younger, I never did it. I know you did, and you're very big on that. And obviously you're paying the dividends now. For me, when I was younger, I'd go in, I'd work as hard as I could. And as you said, you go to another coach, you work as hard as you can there, and you're just driving yourself into the grave or into the ground. You're not stretching, you're losing mobility, you lose speed, you lose a bit of power. So yeah.